Welcome everyone to Chapter 7, in which we will be discussing installing Windows 7. We have 4 objectives this week for Chapter 7 as to how to plan a Windows installation properly. Next objective we'll cover is how to install Windows 7 operating system. Next we'll move on to what do you do after the installation is complete. And lastly we'll talk about the special concerns when installing Windows in a large enterprise setting. Generally speaking, there are 3 situations in which you will do a Windows installation on your computer. When you're replacing a hard drive, such as if a hard drive fails, you need a new one. Let's say you're moving from a hard disk drive to a solid state drive. This would be an opportunity to do a Windows installation so that you can have your operating system back up and running for your computer. In case you have a corrupt version of Windows, due to many of reasons, and your Windows operating systems become corrupt, it's definitely time to do a new Windows installation. And another time that you might do this is just when you're doing an upgrade, such as right now, where a lot of people are upgrading their Windows 7 computers and Windows 8.1 computers to the latest Windows operating system of Windows 10. Since our book primarily focuses on Windows 7, we'll just stick with Windows 7 and give you some information about that. There are many versions of Windows 7 or editions of Windows 7. There is the Windows 7 Starter, and this is just intended to be used on notebooks in those developing nations, those third world type countries. And now this version, the Windows 7, only comes in a 32-bit version on the Windows 7 Starter. Next we have the Windows 7 Home Basic Edition, and this has limited features and is available only in underdeveloped countries. Windows 7 Home Premium, next level up. This is similar to Home Basic Edition, but it includes some additional features, and you can see here in this table we have some of those features listed here. You can see how we progress to the right, more and more features are available with Windows 7 Ultimate containing all of the features. We also have the Windows 7 Professional. This is probably what you'll see in most businesses. You'll either see this, the Professional, or the Enterprise version. And this Windows 7 Professional is primarily intended for business users, and you can purchase multiple site licenses through the Microsoft Office Volume Licensing Center. As I said, Windows 7 Enterprise is very similar to Windows 7 Professional, but includes some additional features. And you can see those listed here. One of those main ones that you'll see listed here is the BitLocker encryption for encrypting all of your information on your hard drive. We also see that it does not include the Windows DVD Maker, as you probably don't want your employees, having the ability to make DVDs and possibly, creating a security risk in which some of your, corporate information could be leaving the building. And lastly, I said we have Windows 7 Ultimate Edition, and this includes every Windows 7 feature. Multiple site licenses are not available. When you're purchasing your version of Windows operating system, know that there are different purchase options. There's the retail version. Now this costs less if you purchase a license to do an upgrade from your current operating system to a new one, such as if you had an XP machine, and since that went to sunset last year, then in 2014, then you wanted to upgrade to Windows 7, then you would buy an upgrade version or an upgrade retail license for that. You must purchase a Windows 7 full license for any computer that has an operating system other than Vista or XP. Now, if you do have Windows 7 and you're going to upgrade to Windows 10, currently this is free to do. Microsoft has not told us yet when this free upgrade is going to end. And the other purchase option you have is OEM, or Original Equipment Manufacturer. Now, this costs less, but can only be installed on a new PC for resale. Now when I talk about OEM, you can see how we can go here. I'm at newegg.com site, and I've narrowed this down, filtered it down to where I've looked for software and I want to buy an operating system. I haven't taken it down any further, but I just want to show you that these OEM versions are available for purchase as an individual you don't have to go through the Microsoft Office Volume Licensing Center, or the Microsoft Volume Licensing Center. So you can see how we have, like, as I said, we're going to Windows 10, and you can purchase those if you need to. You can see that we still have Windows 7 available to us. There's Windows 7 Pro, Home Premium, etc. So you can go to different sites to buy this. Just make sure that it's a legitimate site such as Newegg or Amazon to get those in case you need those for doing your upgrades or clean installs on your new hard drives. And when you're choosing your edition, your license, and what version of the Windows operating system you're going to be choosing, make sure you know what you need. If you need a 32-bit or a 64-bit version of the operating system. Now the 64-bit installation usually performs better than the 32-bit, obviously, and can also support 64-bit applications, which are, once again, going to run faster than those 32-bit applications. Now, the 64-bit installations of Windows 7 require 64-bit device drivers. See how this all falls into line? Now it's important to know about the minimum hardware requirements when you want to run Windows 7 on your PC or any operating system. So as an example, for Windows 7 operating systems, you should have the following hardware requirements. You have a 1 gigahertz or faster 32-bit or 64-bit processor. You should have at least 1 gigabyte of RAM if you're installing the 32-bit operating system, or if you're going to be running the more preferred 64-bit operating system, you should have a bare minimum of 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now on your hard drive, you should have at least 16 gig available hard drive space on your computer if you're going to be installing the 32-bit operating system, and at least a 20 gig minimum for 64-bit operating systems. And even though it's pretty much standard, you should have a DirectX 9 graphics device with WDDM 1.0 or higher driver for your video requirements. Now, it's also key to note here that only the 64-bit versions of Windows 7 can handle over 4 gigabytes of RAM. So if you have a computer and you're installing a 32-bit operating system in there and you have 8 gig of RAM in your computer, you're only going to be able to access and utilize 4 gigabytes of that RAM. Now if you're wondering about, does my system qualify or not, go ahead and download and run the Windows 7 Upgrade Advisor to find out if your system does meet the minimum recommended hardware requirements for installing your Windows 7 operating system.